Let me to drive. I can.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Santosh Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna everybody.
Nice to see you all. Nice to
Hare
see you all.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So, yeah, we were supposed to use WebEx today, but I was having some issues. Yeah, WebEx is not as straightforward as Zoom. So we need some learning to do. But anyway, hopefully by tomorrow, we will have to work it out and go with WebEx. But right now, we continue with our favorite Zoom. So, so we just see who wants to volunteer for chanting the verses. Anybody? Otherwise, we know Divya Gaurangi Mataji is always there.
I'm always here as well.
Yes.
I can do English, Prabhuji.
Yes. Sorry, who just said about English just now?
Shabani.
Shabani Mataji can do English now. Who is there? Anybody else who wants to do Sanskrit?
Prabhuji, I will give it a go. Girish speaking.
Who was that?
Girish Prabhuji.
Girish Prabhu, wonderful. Okay, that's fantastic. Let me just share the screen first. And then I need to mute everybody as well. So all right. So if we can get Girish Prabhu to do Sanskrit and Santosh Mataji to do English, you can both unmute yourself and go. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It's the first time I will be reading this Sanskrit, so if any mistake, please pardon me, all the devotees on this call. So I will try my best to do the justice with these verses. Yeah, so please bear with me if I do some mistakes.
Okay.
You'll be absolutely fine. Don't worry.
I think Shabani is going to do the English, Prabhuji. Shabani,
Santosh Mataji, if you want to do it, it's fine. It's fine, Mataji.
it's okay. You go ahead, Shabani Mataji.
Then Santosh Mataji, we can do tomorrow. Santosh Mataji can do tomorrow then.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Girish Prabhu, you can go.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Adhyaya, the most confidential knowledge. Verse 9.1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tu te guhatmam parvaksyami anasyuve Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajnatva Moksyase Subhat.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence.
Text 2. Rajvidya Rajguhyam Pavitram Ida Utmam Pratyakshavagam Adharmayam Susukham Karatum Avayayam.
This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed.
Text 3. Ashradha dhana prusha dharmasyasya prantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani.
Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world.
Text 4. Maya tatam ida sarvam jagad avyakta murtina matstani sarva bhutani nachaham tes avasthita.
By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
Text 5. Nacha matstani bhutani pasya me yogam eshwaram bhuta brahnacha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanaha.
And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation.
Text 6. Yathakasha sthito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani te upadharya.
Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me.
Text 7. Sarva bhutani konteya prakritram yanti mamikam kalpasya punastani kalpadau visarjami aham.
O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all the material manifestation enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again.
Text 8. Prakritram svam avasthabhya visarjami punha punha bhuta gamamam imam kritnam avasam prakritra vasat.
The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end.
Text 9. Nacha mamtani kamani nibadhanti dhananjaya udasina vad ashninam askatam tesu karmasu.
O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from these material activities, seated as though neutral.
Text 10. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetuna nena konteya jagad viparivartate.
This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again.
Text 11. Avajanati mamudha manusam tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram.
Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be.
Text 12. Mogha cha mogha karmano mogha jnana vishetash raksasim asurim cheva prakritrim mohani sritha.
Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated.
Text 13. Mahatmanastu mampatha devem prakritram ashrita bhajanti ananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam.
O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible.
Text 14. Statam kirtyanto mam yatantascha dhridvrta namasyantascha mam bhakteya nitya yukta upasate.
Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
Text 15. Jnana yajnena chapyane yajanto mam upaste ekatvena Prthaktvena Budusha Visvato Mukham.
Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form.
Text 16. Aham kratur aham yajna svadaham aham asudham mantroham aham avyajam aham agnir aham hutam.
But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering.
Text 17. Pitaham asya jagto mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara rigsama yajur ivecha.
I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the rigor, the Sama, and the Yajurvedas.
Text 18. Gatir bharta prahu sakshi nivsaha saranam suhut prabhavaha pralyasthanam nidhamam bijam avyayam.
I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, and the resting place and the eternal seed.
Text 19. Tapami aham aham varsam nigrahnami utarsajami cha amritam cheva mrityuscha sad asachaham arjuna.
O Arjuna, I give heat, and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me.
Text 20. Trividyamam soma papu tapapa yajne ristva swagatim pratyante te punyamasadya surendra lokam asnati divyan divideva bhogam.
Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights.
Text 21. Te tam bhuktava swargalokam vishalam Krishne punyamartya lokam vishanti Evam traidharma mano prapana Gata gatam kama kama labhante.
When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
Text 22. Ananyas chintyanto mam ye yajna paryupasate tesam nityabhiyuktanam yoga keshmam avahamiham.
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have.
Text 23. Ye piyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhaya vanita tepi mam eva kunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam.
Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way.
24. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhur evecha na tumam abhijanananti te tavena tasyavanti te.
I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down.
Text 25. Yanti deva vrita devan pitran yanti pitravrta bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhya jinno pimam.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship the ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me.
Text 26. Patram pushpam phalam utoyam yo me bhakteya prayachati tad aham bhakti uphartam ashnami prayatmana.
If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it.
Text 27. Yat karosi yad ashnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteya tat kurusva mad arpanam.
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Text 28. Shubha shubha phalerevam moksha se karma bandhane sannyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mam upesyasi.
In this way, you will be freed from bondage of work and its auspicious and inauspicious result. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me.
Text 29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name deveshosti nipriya ye bhajanti tumam bhakteya mai te tesu chapiyaham.
I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him.
Text 30. Api chet sudara duracharu bhajte mam ananya bhag sadhu eva samantva vya samyak vyansito hisa.
Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
Text 31. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvak chantim nigachati kunteya pratijan nihi name bhakta pranasyati.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes.
Text 32. Mam hi partha vyapsrita yepi syuhu papa yonahya striyo veshya tatha shudras tepi yanti param gatim.
O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination.
Text 33. Kim punar brahmana punya bhakta rajasyas anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajaswamam.
How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me.
Text 34. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam vyashasi yukta vivam atmam mat prahayana.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me, being completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me.
Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Shu Upanishadsu Brahmana Vidyavan Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Raj Vidya Raj Guhya Yoga Nama Namo Adhyaya. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna, that was wonderful. That was fantastic. Girish Prabhu, for the first effort, it was really amazing.
Well done.
Thank you so
Very
much.
well done. Thank
Brilliant.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Very good, Prabhuji. Very good.
Excellent. So last week I was
Very
saying we don't have any Prabhujis coming up, so now you're holding up the side of the Prabhujis. Thank you so much.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna Prabhu.
Krishna
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Shabani Mataji, again, as just wonderful English also. So nice. Okay. Thank you. So we will now go straight to the PowerPoint, see what we can do. No, this is on Zoom. Okay, so we are reading from chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, and the chapter summary so far. So 1 to 3 was knowledge and eligibility. We remember that. 4 to 10 was Krishna's relationship with the material world, Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva, quite a lot of detail there. And the current section that we are in is 11 to 25. We're coming towards the end of that. And Krishna is talking about how fools neglect bhakti and the divine don't. So that's the summary. Today we will be focusing on 9, 21 and 22. So we will chant, we will first of all chant the invocation mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So 921, we'll just recite the verse first. Girish Prabhu recited it so nicely. Tirtam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam shine punye matyalokam vishanti evam tyaidharmam anuprapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet once again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So, important words in this text. Svarga Lokam refers to the higher planetary systems. Swarga, we all are quite familiar with the word Swarga. So that is that system, and then the opposite to that is the Martya Lokam. Martya Lokam, this earthly planets are also known as Mrityulok. Mrityulok. There's some famous bhajans about Mrityulok. I don't know how many of the participants are Gujarati, but there's a very, very, very old, nice bhajan talking about Mrityulok. And how does it go? I'm sorry about the non-Gujarati speakers. I hope you don't mind. It goes, Rakhana Ramakara Mare Rame, O Mare Rame Ramta Rakhare. Manutyumalokani
Mati Navathai me sarjare
Rakhana Ramakara Ramakara. Oh, I'm glad a lot of people knew it. I thought a lot of people will not know it. So that Nirtilok, talking about the earthly planets, the place of death, actually, literally the place of death. Because everybody who's in this place is going to die one day. There is no exceptions. So, and then the Shine Punye. Let me just mute. Shine Punye. Shine Punye. Shine. So Shine means exhausting, finishing, and Punye we of course know it's the pious credits, stock of pious credits, which is also called Sukruti. So when our pious stock of credit is exhausted, then we have to keep coming down back again and again, as Prabhupada will explain in the purport. So once again, just speaking a little bit about the pronunciation here. Most of it's quite normal, like we covered the sh and r already. then this n comes again, shine. So it's not shine, shine, punye. So these are important points about the pronunciation. I don't think there is anything else complicated here. We'll then maybe just move on to the next slide. So this is the purport. Do you want to read the purport? Yeah, go on. Okay, so Prabhu Malini is hopefully going to read the purport loudly.
Okay, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is promoted to the higher planetary system enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment, yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to this earth upon finishing the resultant fruities of pious activities. He who has not attained perfection of knowledge, as indicated in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadya Asya Yatha, or in other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled about the achieving the ultimate goal of life and is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to the higher planets and then again coming down, as if situated on a Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes comes down. The purport is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world, from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply resolves in the cycle of birth and death on higher and lower planetary systems. One should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge and never return to this miserable material existence.
Thank you. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasadi Kaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So short but sharp purport. So in the beginning of the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes the higher planetary systems. So yesterday, Divanam Prabhu very nicely described very colorfully how the spiritual, well, it's not spiritual, but heavenly planets are. So just Prabhupada recaps on that. Prabhupada saying that, of course, there's a longer duration of life. So it is said that in the heavenly planets, the people there live for 10,000 years. And actually, they 6 months of the earthly time is their 1 day. This is how the time works over there. So very long duration of life. Then you have much better facilities for sense enjoyment. Everything is a lot better over there, and your chance of enjoying your senses is plentiful. So it says 1,000 times more than the earthly planets. So this is the facilities they have. But despite all that, people we aren't allowed to stay there forever. And the analogy that I always use is that, it's like going on a fancy holiday. You go, maybe you book a 5-star holiday, you go and spend your 2 weeks or whatever you paid for. But when your time is over, you need to come back. So similarly, whatever pious activities has given us the eligibility to go to the higher planets, once that activity, that pious activity, that pious stock is used up, Sukriti is used up, we have to come back down again. And then it just goes on and on and on. So Prabhupada just confirms that, coming down again like a Ferris wheel. So like in a fun fair, you go up and then you come down. You're very happy when you go up because you can see a lot of scenery, you can see till like quite far away. And when you come down, you're down to you can't see much beyond just a few people who are standing there. So this is our situation. When we are there, we're very, very happy. And then when you come down, we're back in trouble. So this before I go to the next point, this tendency for the human beings to want to better their life, either in this particular life or also in the next life, perhaps. This is the kind of karma kanda mentality of people. Is short term, they will try and improve their facilities in this particular life around them now, and long term karma kandis will do kind of pujas and all those ritualist activities to try and improve their next life, so they can go, to higher planets and enjoy better. But this, as Prabhupada will point out here, it is a very faulty thinking, because you're going up and going down again, because you cannot never permanently stay there. But this particular inclination of the soul comes naturally, because of soul is Sachit Ananda. Soul is naturally blissful, and it's now trapped in this body, which is full of miseries. So it is the soul's wish to always go back to its blissful state. And this is why this urge is always there to become happier and find better and better ways to become happy. So this is the soul's nature. The soul's nature is called Ananda Bhayo Vyasat. Eternally, the soul is actually blissful. But whilst it's trapped in this material body, identifying with matter, it feels the pains and pleasures of the body, which it shouldn't really. Actually, it doesn't. In reality, it's like a dream. When you go, when sometimes we have a nightmare, a tiger is chasing us, and we are sometimes we even scream in the sleep. But when you wake up, of course, there is no tiger and there is no jungle, there's nothing. So similarly, the soul is going through this experience just like a dream. It really is not suffering. The body is suffering, but it feels the suffering because it's identifying so closely with the body. And then the other point I wanted to make was that it's only in the human form of life that one gets the opportunity to get out of this cycle of birth and death. And then if we use this human facility, human body, to do nothing but just spend time trying to improve your temporary situation, rather than have the permanent situation of going out of this cycle of birth and death, then we're wasting this human life, which is very rare, right? The example that I've heard others give is that it's like, you are in a big, imagine you're in a huge stadium, massive stadium, and you're in the stadium, there's only one single door to come out, and you're blindfolded. And you have, just by feeling your way, you have to touch the walls till you come to the door, and then you can get out. So you have one opportunity in like maybe a few hundred yards, a round circle, you need to come to this. The problem with the human beings is that when they get this opportunity, which is the human birth, that's the window, that's the door to get out. But when we get to this door, we're distracted. We're distracted with so many other things, other sort of the glare of the material world, that we at that time, literally in that analogy, you're passing that door, and rather than touching the wall, at that time you want to itch your head or your shoulders or something, and you actually, by that action, you miss the door. So this is how quickly we can miss our opportunity. So we must be very, very careful to not waste this lifetime. Because we have all, whether we know it or not, all of us have been up and down many, many millions of times, because we've been here since time immemorial. So we have all been demigods in various times, and we've gone down to the hellish worlds as well, and we've been on the earthly planets as well. Now is the time. We now are woken up by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's mercy. We're woken up this fact. So we should make our life count. Let's make, we have wasted all other lives, let's make this life count. So then Prabhupada is saying that what should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to this material existence. So there's a couple of verses we studied in the 8th chapter. I'm just going to test your memory now. Anybody remember which verses talk about this, about never returning? 8th chapter. Okay, I'll give you a clue. 8:15. Anybody know this verse? Mamupetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam naknuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. After attaining me, the Lord says, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary material world, sorry, to the temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So here, Krishna has already told us in the 8th chapter that once you get back to him, you never return. So in this particular purport, Prabhupada is saying, this is what we should do. We have to it's better to make our way to the spiritual world so we never come back. And there's a second verse also in the 8th chapter, in fact, the very next verse, 8:16, it says, Brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetyatu kaunteya punar janmana vidyate. So it says, from the highest planet in this material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So we have to keep reminding ourselves of these wonderful verses that Krishna is giving us, and realize that actually the permanent solution is what we're going to do. This life is full of people looking for temporary solutions, but actually we need to look for a permanent solution, and that solution is there right in front of us, that Krishna has given us and Prabhupada has explained to us so nicely. So Prabhupada now mentions in that purport a beautiful verse, which actually is the second verse of the Vedanta Sutra, and it also happens to be the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tanmadyasya Yata. And it's a very beautiful verse, which is part of our memory verse in the Bhakti Vaibhav course. I'd like to just recite that, and people who know that behind your mics, you can also recite it. It starts with the invocation, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yato. No, let me get the meter right. There's a completely different meter. Janmadyasya Yato Noyaditaratas Chateshwar Pigas. No, that's not the right one. Sorry. It will not come to me now because I've got other tunes in my head. But anyway, Janmadyasya Yato Noyaditaratas Chateshwar Pigas Swarat. Ene Brahmaridaya Adikavaya Muhyanti Yat Surya Tejo Vari Midam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. I got the tune, the second half of the verse. Very beautiful verse and a very, very important verse where the translation is a very big translation. So, O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading supreme, all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna, because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in his transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So, Prabhupada is saying that we achieve this ultimate goal of life by understanding Krishna as a cause of all causes. That's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. So this is what we need to understand. If we can actually understand this verse and completely imbibe it, then we are on the way. Then we are going to make progress. This is totally knowing who Krishna is and understanding his position. So this is all we will speak about on that verse, and we can now move on to 9:22. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nitya viyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating upon my transcendental form, to them I can carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So just before we go to the translation, so in text 20 and 21, Krishna has explained what happens to those who worship demigods or those who aspire to get promotion to the heavenly planets. So now in this 22, Krishna is now explaining what happens to those who worship him exclusively. So let's go to the purport. Everybody can read the purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the main points of the purport in this one. So a pure devotee is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness. So we need to mold our life, Prabhupada says in that purport, 24 hours. So one must be thinking about Krishna, doing things for Krishna all the time. And this is how we become a pure devotee. So our life needs to be molded so that Krishna is always in the center. So there is a beautiful verse coming up after a few verses in this chapter, verse 27, which confirms how we can do this. Yat karoshi yat asanashi, yat juhoshi dadashi yat tapasyasi konteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So you see, this way, by doing everything we do for Krishna, you can keep Krishna in the center. And it is said that whatever activities, if you have Krishna in the center of your activities, that is spiritual. All your activities are spiritual. But when we have ourselves in the center, then those activities are material. And those activities bind us to the material world. So one has to perform activities for Krishna. There is a verse in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita as well. Karmano yagya, yagnatat karmano nyatra. Yagnatat karmano nyatra. Said all activities has to be done for the yagya. So one of the names of Vishnu is Yagya. So for the sake of the Lord, for the sake of Vishnu, for the Krishna, all our activities must be done. So this is a tip how to do this. Then there is the process of bhakti. Srila Prabhupada in this purport, he briefly speaks about the process of bhakti. And it comes from the 7th canto, text 5th chapter, 23 and 25. Prahlad Maharaj speaks this verse, and this is where we get the process of bhakti. So we will sing that. Shri Prahlad Vacha. Shravanam Ketanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhakti Valakshana Kriyeta Bhagavat Yada Tanmanye Ditam Uttamam. So this is Prahlad Maharaj speaking to his father. His father is asking him what had you learned in school. And then Prahlad Maharaj says, hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship with 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming his servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and words. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. One who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for he has acquired complete knowledge. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying this to his father, despite the fact that his father was considered Vishnu his enemy. But this is, and of course we all know the pastimes, his father tried to then destroy him because he thought he was his enemy. So like this. So the Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. It says, but when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to miserable condition. This is what Prabhupada said in the purport. So once we get to this stage, once we are practicing these processes, in fact, Prabhupada says in some classes that even if you perfect one of these processes, your spiritual life can become perfect. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandranam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, whatever you can do, you can perfect yourself spiritually. And Krishna will reciprocate with us to the degree that we have surrendered to him. So as to the degree, if we are surrendered 100%, Krishna will take charge of us 100%. If we are surrendered only 50%, Krishna will take care of 50%. This is why sometimes devotees complain, they say, oh, how come I'm doing all this, but I'm still not feeling the devotion of it. But the point is I think it's a question of surrender. We are holding on. We are doing, at the moment, most of us, including myself, is a little bit for Krishna, a little bit for me. Or sometimes a little bit for Krishna, a lot for me. But the idea should be everything for Krishna. If we get to that situation, we start depending completely on Krishna. Krishna takes charge. The example that, again, Acharyas give is that when the baby is very, very little, the baby is completely reliant on the mother. So at that time, the mother takes care of absolutely everything. The baby doesn't have to ask for anything. The mother will take care of the baby 100%. Now imagine that baby now becomes, grows up a little bit, and in little childhood, she's a bit more independent. She'll go and play and everything. And the mother doesn't have to take so much care of her. At that time, she's a bit more independent. So mother can leave her a little bit alone. Then when that person becomes a teenager, then they've got a lot of free will. They'll go out and be with their friends for hours and hours. The mother doesn't even worry about it because she knows that she will come back. So the mother has let go, right? And then finally, when you're an adult, you know everything. You don't want to know your parents. Your parents then say, okay, fine, you know what you're doing, but we are here to help if you want. So similarly, the Lord is holding our hand. He wants to hold our hand. But we are pretending to be fully grown adults. We are pretending that we know everything. We don't need anybody's help. And for that reason, the Lord says, fine, in that case, I leave you alone. I observe what you're doing. And when you need my help, you come back to me. So the idea is all of us should be going back to our stage as a baby. We should be, as people say, that when you chant your rounds, when you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We should be chanting like a baby crying for her mother. That should be our feeling. That should be our mood, right? So if we get self in that mood and say, I am just like a baby. I know nothing, Krishna. Please guide me. Please guide me. I'm completely yours. this is when Krishna takes charge and he would take care of us. So this is the two short purports here, but very, very important verses. We will stop here and invite any realizations, questions, corrections. Anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Could you just recap the transcendental form of Krishna? What would he look like in his transcendental form, please, before I ask my question?
Sure. So the transcendental form of Krishna is actually his form with a flute, playing with the cowherd boys and his cowherd girlfriends. That is his transcendental form.
Would that be the same as the human form?
Yes, his two-arm form.
I see. So that is similar. So
Yeah.
now my question is it okay for one to visualize Krishna in either of these forms, or like, on one day we can visualize him in his transcendental form, another day in his human form, another day in the universal form? Is that okay to do that, or should we stick to just one form?
In the beginning, we will have different forms of the Lord in our minds, depending on what we have seen in terms of pictures in our homes, or pictures in temples, or deities in temples and everything. That's all fine. But what will happen, Mataji, is as devotion begins to take hold, we will naturally gravitate towards a particular form that our hearts take to. Right? And we say, right, the transcendental form of the Lord. We are, of course, from the ISKCON temple, Hare Krishna temple. So our Lord and Master is Radha and Krishna. So this is where we gravitate to. But others may be maybe Lakshmi Narayan temple. So for their deities, maybe Lakshmi and Narayan. Others may be Lord Ram devotees. So their deity could be Lord Ram and Sita and Ram, which is all fine. These are all personalities of Godhead, right? So there is no difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's up to us, whichever form we choose to. I see.
Exactly.
All right.
Very, very individual.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, sorry.
Go on. Who's speaking first? Is it Puja Mataji?
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Now, we have got a chance as a human beings, being born as a human form, to go back to the Godhead. What about those who are in the lower forms of life? How can they elevate themselves, or what is their future path towards getting back to the Godhead?
Very good question. Excellent question, Puja Mataji. So it is said that in the human form of life, because we have the power of discerning, because the Lord has given us the intelligence to make decisions, right or wrong, right? For that reason, we incur karma. And this is why we create our life, good or bad, future lives. Whereas the lower yonis, all the animal yonis, bird yonis, and all those other yonis, because they don't have the intelligence, that they don't have the developed consciousness. So for them, there is no incurring. They do not incur any pap. There is no punya, there is no pap. They have to just go through the chain one by one, 8.4 million different life forms. So we all have been through those. So gradually, coming one by, so gradually they're going higher and higher and higher and higher. Finally, it is said that in the animal yoni, for example, the cow is the highest the form. And then from there, you then come to a human form. If you're going through that chain, right? And that way, once you come to the human form, then you have responsibility, right?
Yes.
Your responsibility is now to make decisions. It's just like, for example, it is said that children can make some offenses, even criminal offenses, but they are not prosecuted because they don't have the power of discerning. But adults can't get away with the same thing that children can. So similarly, the animals don't have a choice. They just need to go from one yoni to the other until, and this is why it is said, this is why you can understand how rare it is for us to have the human birth. And we waste it and go down again, we're back in that cycle of 8.4 million lives.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
What I gather from the teachings I've received so far for a couple of years now is that if you practice Krishna consciousness in a pure form, you guarantee a place with Krishna permanently. I was surprised to hear that you return on earth and take birth again.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for raising that for clarification. Let me just clarify that, Jolie Mataji. Basically, if you return to the spiritual world, Krishna says you never come back. And we went through some of the verses, and even this verse, and the purport Prabhupada says no. So if you are with Krishna, you will not come back. You're with Vishnu, you will not come back. You're with Ram, you will not come back. So once you're in the spiritual world, you will not come back. What we are speaking about is if you are just promoting yourself by doing pious activities, not doing devotional service, just doing pious activities and promoting yourself to the higher planets in the material world, to the heavenly planets, even up to Indralok or Brahmalok, then from there you need to come back. Because you're still in the material realm then, you're not in the spiritual realm.
Okay, thank you for that. Also, there was a promise of a lower class person jumping all these hoops to get there as well. Is that right?
So yes, a lower class person, even if a lower class person, so this is so true. The birth that you have taken is irrelevant. The devotional service, it is said, it is ahaituki apratihata, which means that devotional service cannot be stopped or arrested by any material conditioning. So your birth is a material conditioning. So even somebody born in a lower family, he takes the devotional service by the mercy of some devotees and by the mercy of the Lord. If he takes the devotional service, he's also immediately qualified to make spiritual progress.
Thank you very much.
I'm
actually enjoying this katha. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Was it Rupa Mataji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Now, I know I am a fool number one to have left Krishna's association, wanting to enjoy without Krishna. And my question is, when we go back to Godhead, what if we commit the same mistake again? Because we came from Krishna somewhere in time immemorial, we were with Krishna and we made the mistake of wanting to enjoy without Krishna. Now we realize that, at least I can say about myself that I was a fool number one to leave Krishna and enjoy without Krishna. When we go back to Krishna, what will happen if we commit the same mistake again?
Okay, so the thing is, it is said in many places in the Shastras, Krishna says, once you come back, you will not return, right? And like you quite rightly say, we did make a mistake and we came down, right? But how we came down, what mistake we made, we don't know. But the point, what Acharya's answer is in this kind of situation, what we say in English, they say once smitten, twice bit. Once bitten, twice smitten, right? So once we had this experience, now what we're going through, and we make our way back, we will not come back because we've experienced how bad things are, and we also know from Shastras, even now what we feel is bad is nothing compared to how bad it's going to get as Kali Yuga progresses. So certainly you don't want to come back. You will not want to come back. We came back. It was like the grass is always greener on the other side. So because we were there and we didn't really understand what the material world was, we just thought, okay, let me also go there and try out. I don't want to just be here, where Krishna is the only one who's enjoying. I want to go and enjoy myself. And so now we've had that experience. We're not going to come back when you go back. You will remember what happened.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hema Mataji.
So it's a kind of a query, but not quite a question. On the one hand, we say bhakti only comes when we have Krishna's mercy. Then you were talking about this door that one has to open. When if we miss that door, then we've missed our opportunity. So does one miss that opportunity because of impious karmas from previous life, or we're misusing our independence in opening that door? Why do we miss that opportunity? Because, you know, in families, there are some people who are all connected to Krishna immediately, and one or two people, they just do not connect, even though they've got the same kind of circumstances that they're being brought up in. So what is it that stops them from taking that opportunity?
That's a very, very nice question. Very nice question. Everybody has this situation in the families and friends. So again, Acharya has explained that to come to even think about coming to the devotional path. Okay, forget about the path. Forget about the path. Even for you to want to go to the temple, you need to have some sukriti. That means something from your past life, some sukriti that's come with you that is making you think at least that you want to go to the temple. At that stage, you may not even be thinking about taking anything seriously. You just want to go to the temple, do darshan, and have some prasad and leave. But the point is that ability, that nature, that makes you there, has come with you from a previous life. So that sukriti is there. So you need some sukriti, and then to add to the sukriti, there must be some faith, right? So if the sukriti is missing and the faith is missing, then you are stuck. Then you are stuck because you will not be able to take the step, right? Because you haven't got that conditioning. You just feel that all that is nonsense. That's what your mind is saying to you, right? But even such people, by coming in association with good devotees, just by seeing the examples of devotees and the mercy of devotees, by devotees praying for them, these devotees can also make progress. So there should be no hopeless cases. Actually, there are no hopeless cases. Everyone has a chance. Krishna wants everybody to come back, and it's whatever conditioning that's holding them back, we can pray, and we can do various things. We can give them prasadam, which gives them agnat sukriti. They will be eating that and not realizing that their heart is getting cleansed. We can make sure that somehow or the other they hear some pastimes of Krishna, even its stories that they might enjoy, right? Read a book, a very simple book that they can hack a book. So some things like this, right? So we need to help people to try and get connected. And somehow, one way or the other, if they get connected to devotees, they will make progress.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's 9. It's almost 10 to 9 now. So we will close now. Any more questions, please put on there. Tomorrow we're going to try WebEx again. So let's see how that works. But once again, thank you all very much for joining me. So any apologies for any mistakes, and Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Very much.
Thank you both. And from Shreya, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shreya.
Shreya. She had a question for you, but she was too embarrassed to ask. She wanted to know why butterflies had wings. So the only thing I could think of was I said they need to go back to Krishna.
Good answer. Good answer. Hare Krishna, Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vinay Prabhu.
Hare Bol.
Did recognize with your dari.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Slide number 8. Who is speaking that? Who's speaking that?
Shall I bring it up again?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second. Share, what is it? Share. Oh, stop share. Stop share. Okay. Okay, okay, I can't see the slide myself because I need to change the view here. 1 second.
So that was the first. That was the first adhyay of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh yeah, yes. You're talking about the big verse. Yeah, there's a very first adhyay and first verse.
Yeah. Who's speaking that?
That was spoken by Vyasadeva.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh yes. So Hare Krishna, Vikram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna to you. And thank you very much for nice class.
Well, thank you so much for being in. Thank you so much for joining the class.
Enjoying every day.
Wonderful. I know it's a very, very good opportunity. This lockdown has given us new ways of trying and reach out to people. It's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. See you all tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.